Hi, my name is Cindy Maudsley, and I was 15 years old in 1999, and I was a freshman at Columbine High School. I was in PE class, it was fifth period, and my PE teacher had just taken roll call and sent about half of our class out of the classroom to head outside. And we had just walked into the hallway when all of a sudden there were two loud gunshots. At the time, I didn't know that they were gunshots. They were just super loud, and I remember looking up the hallway to my left and seeing gun smoke. It was then that a couple of students were running down the hallway toward us. Following them was our principal, Frank DeAngelis, and they just started yelling at us to run. And I feel like in that moment, I didn't know what was happening, but it just clicked, and we all turned to our right and ran through the doors that led into the gym. Our principal was leading us at this time, and he ran us to the back of the gym where there was an equipment closet. So that's where they kept the basketballs and the volleyball nets and all of that. I remember then we were kind of all huddled around the volleyball nets and the basketballs, and then all of a sudden the fire alarm went off. And I remember it was blaring in our ears, and we were all so confused. We didn't know what was happening. Some kids were making jokes, thinking, oh, I don't have to take my math test now. And people like me, I was crying. I was huddled up and I was just bawling my eyes out. And then, so we were there for about 15 minutes, and then our principal told us that we needed to leave. So he unlocked the door and he told us to run. And so we ran out of the closet, out the gym doors, and then I ran to the public library that's adjacent to the park. And I stayed there for about 3 hours until I could get a hold of my mom and dad. There weren't cell phones really back then, and so it was hard to get a hold of people, and my parents were trying to find me and my sister, so they weren't at home, and the phone was busy, so it took about 3 hours until I got through to them, and then my mom made her way to the library and found me. So the first year was really hard. I remember just feeling like I was in a dream, in a fog, not knowing what was going on. Just being sad all the time and scared. I never wanted to go to sleep because that's when my mind would kind of play tricks on me, and I would think about everything and I would have flashbacks. On the 6-month anniversary of the shooting, I think there was a bomb threat. We were into the next school year at this time, at that point, and so I remember going home early from school that day, and anytime really there was anything, it always took me back. And so that first year was really hard. I was still crying a lot. I live really close to the school, and so I had to drive by it, and you'd see all these people in like tourist vans and taking pictures, and that would make me upset and mad because it was still my school and my community, and I didn't like feeling like I had to share it with everybody, and I felt like they were kind of taking advantage of our pain and just for their own entertainment. And so there were lots of things that triggered me that would just send me kind of into a depression and crying a lot. I felt like I couldn't be happy because that meant that I was forgetting, and I didn't want to forget. And so I think for me, I really held on to those feelings of sadness and despair so that I could actually feel something. I think little by little I was healing, but I feel for me it was even after 5 years, after I got married and had my own kids, and I was able to just kind of let go of some of the anger, and I was able to just kind of live my life more, so I wasn't focused on it. And so every year that goes by, it's still hard, but it gets a little bit easier. And so I've just always like attributed my healing to time. Time doesn't take away the pain, it just changes it, and you're able to live a new normal. And it's hard getting through it, but then you can look back and you can see, wow, I made it a year, or it's been 5 years, and now it's been 19 years, and you don't know how you do it, but somehow you've just survived and you've lived through it, and it's helped a lot. So in talking about it with other people, I've always said I can't put my fingertip on when I was able to forgive and find that peace. And I've learned once I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean condoning what someone did or giving them a pass. It's more for myself and more for me to just kind of let go and realize that I'm happier, I'm not as sad, and I'm not as bitter when I can kind of just let go of that anger, and I needed that for me. And so I think once I realized that I wasn't feeling anger anymore, and it was just a long process of time passing by and a lot of prayer and faith and just really kind of understanding the bigger picture a little bit more. One thing that I wish I would have known then that I know now is that it's not always going to be as hard as it is in the moment, that time does help heal, and you're not always going to cry every day. You're not going to be sad every day. You're going to maybe not even think about it every day. And for me, back then, I just thought, I'm going to be sad, I'm going to cry, I'm always going to have nightmares. But little by little over time, sometimes I only think about it every once in a while, and it's not something I think about first thing when I wake up, and I'm not crying about it all the time. I've learned that it never goes away, that trauma has affected a lot of aspects of my life, and that a lot of the reasons I am who I am and the way that I do things are because of the trauma I experienced. And I embrace that, and I don't want to say that this defines me, but it has helped shape me into who I am, and I'm proud of that, and I am grateful for who I am and everything I've gone through, even the hard times and the scary things and the trauma that I've experienced. There are triggers that bring it back, and I think that's always going to happen, but I think that just also still shows me that I still care and that it's still a huge part of my life. And I've kind of embraced that, even though it's hard to go back there. It's a good reminder that even though I've progressed and moved forward, I haven't forgotten, and I'm not acting like it never happened. And so for me, it's good to have those emotions every once in a while, but it's not always that way. I'm not always sad, and I'm not always crying, and I'm not always thinking about it. So I just think it's not always going to be as bad as the moment that you're in right now. I would just like to say that it gets better, and that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to wonder why and to question things. And you have to feel all those feelings, that it's okay to laugh and to smile and to make good memories. It doesn't mean that you're forgetting what you went through. It just means that you're living your life, and time heals wounds. It doesn't mean that you're forgetting or moving on or that it's not important, but it just means that you're finding your new normal, and everyone heals and grieves differently, and there's not a right way or a wrong way. And so you shouldn't let people make you feel bad for grieving the way that you do. I also think it's important to talk to someone, and whether it's writing your feelings down in a journal or on paper, or talking to a professional. I think it's so important that you have someone that can listen and that's there for you and that can validate your feelings. Sometimes we go through these hardships and these trials so that we can help other people through it, and you will help lots of people. You'll share your message, and you'll be a strength to so many people, and you're going to be happy, and you are going to be strong, and you're going to be better for it, and you can do this, and it's not always going to be this hard.